I used to think the hardest part of a wedding was choosing the right venue. I was wrong. The hardest part was learning how many people wanted to touch what I'd built, then act offended when I didn't hand it over. My name is Layla. I'm 31. I manage operations for a mid-size medical software company, which is a polite way of saying I'm the person who makes sure nothing collapses while everyone else argues about what the collapse should look like. I don't raise my voice. I don't slam doors. I don't clap back. When something feels off, I watch. I log it. I make a plan. Then I execute. I met Adrian at a charity run in late 2021. He wasn't the loudest guy there. He wasn't trying to network. He just finished the run, handed his medal to a little kid on the sidewalk, and asked me if the water table had any cups left because someone had knocked over the stack. That's the kind of man he was. Quiet competence. Small kindnesses. No performance. We dated for 2 years, then got engaged the week after my promotion, on a Thursday night in our kitchen while the rice cooked and the dog tried to steal a carrot peel. No photographer. No audience. Just a ring he'd chosen after asking my best friend what kind of medal I never took off. Platinum. Simple band. No halo. No drama. My sister Soraya made it drama anyway. Soraya is 3 years older than me and has spent most of her life treating the world like a stage and the rest of us like props. She's always been attractive, always been certain it meant she deserved more. More attention, more patience, more forgiveness. When she heard we were engaged, she showed up at my apartment unannounced with a bottle of champagne and her phone already recording. "Say it again," she said, camera angled toward my face. "Tell everyone." "I'm engaged," I said, because refusing would become a scene and I didn't want my neighbors hearing my name. She screamed, loud and sharp, then turned the camera back to herself and cried like she'd just been given a prize. She posted it within 10 minutes, a reel with a filter that made my skin look porcelain and my eyes brighter than they are in real life. The caption read, "My baby sister is getting married. I can't breathe." The comments were full of heart emojis and strangers calling her the best sister ever. She sent me a screenshot of the likes and wrote, "We're going to make this wedding iconic." That was the first time I felt the tightness in my chest that I usually associate with audit week. I didn't reply. Soraya didn't ask if she could be involved. She told me. She wanted to be my maid of honor. I hadn't planned on having one. Our family is not the type that does things smoothly. We do them loudly, with side conversations and old resentments tied up in jokes. My mother, Syra, believes family problems should be handled the way she handles stains, by rubbing at them until the fabric thins and then acting surprised when it tears. My father is quiet, but his quiet has never protected anyone. It's more like he's already decided who will win, and he prefers to not be present for the fight. Soraya had won most fights by default because she fought in public. She had a gift for making you look cruel for wanting basic respect. I knew that about her. I'd always known. Still, I didn't anticipate the wedding becoming her new platform. The budget alone made everyone act strange. Adrian and I paid for it ourselves. No loans, no help. We had both done well the last few years, and we wanted one day that felt calm and clean and intentional. We weren't trying to impress anyone, but we weren't going to pretend we couldn't afford what we wanted. We booked the venue in February, the Solstice House, a restored estate outside the city with a glass conservatory, a stone terrace, and a long line of plane trees that made the driveway look like a film set. The contract total was $90,300, including the catering minimum, staffing, service charges, and the built-in rain plan. When the coordinator said the number out loud, I watched my mother's face shift. "That's a lot," she said. "It's within our budget," I said. Soraya leaned in. "So you're doing like a celebrity wedding?" "No," I said. "We're doing a wedding." She smiled like she'd heard a joke. "Whatever you want to call it." Within days, extended family members I hadn't spoken to in years started calling my mom to ask about the big wedding. One aunt asked if the food would be real or just appetizers. A cousin asked if we'd have a content wall. Soraya repeated the number like it was a brand name. $90K, she'd say, dragging out the K. Layla's going all out. At first, it seemed like harmless bragging. Then it became pressure. She wanted a curated bridal party for photos, matching robes, a choreographed entrance, a sister speech that she could rehearse with a mic. I said no to most of it, politely, calmly, the way I handled scope creep at work. She responded the same way every time, with that sweet public laugh. "Okay, boss," she'd say. "Of course." "It's your day." She didn't say it to me. She said it for whoever was watching. The first time she embarrassed me openly was at the tasting. The chef brought out small plates, herb-crusted lamb, seared scallops, a vegetarian risotto with lemon and charred asparagus. Adrian and I tasted, nodded, made notes. Soraya had insisted on coming for moral support. My mother brought her, like Soraya was a child who couldn't be left alone. Soraya took a bite of the scallop, made a face and said loudly, "Wait, are we sure we want seafood? Some people get, tummy issues." The chef blinked. Adrian looked at me. I kept my voice even. "The menu has options." Soraya swirled her water glass like she was at a gala. "I'm just saying, if someone gets sick, it'll be all anyone remembers." The venue coordinator smiled in that tight professional way and wrote something down. The chef's shoulders stiffened. My mother laughed like Soraya had told a joke. "She's just looking out for you." I stared at my plate. I didn't correct anyone. Silence can be useful when you're trying to learn what people think they're allowed to do. Later that week, Soraya started a group chat titled Solstice Wedding Content with my name, my mother, 2 cousins, and 3 of Soraya's friends I'd never met. She wrote, "Okay, ladies, we need to make sure Layla's wedding goes viral. No pressure." I left the group chat without responding. 10 minutes later, she called me, voice already bright with practiced innocence. "Why did you leave?" "Because I don't want my wedding to go viral." A pause. Then the laugh. "Layla, it's just a chat. I don't want strangers planning my wedding." "They're not strangers," she said, offended. "They're my friends. That makes them strangers to me." Another pause, sharper this time. "You're being weird." "I'm being clear." She exhaled like I'd exhausted her. "Okay, fine. I'll handle it." When Soraya says I'll handle it, it doesn't mean she will stop. It means she will keep going in a way that makes you look unreasonable for objecting. I started documenting after that call, not because I wanted to fight, because I wanted to see the full shape of what was happening. I took screenshots of the group chat title and the initial messages before it disappeared from my phone. I saved them to a folder labeled Wedding inside a folder labeled Admin. At work, I keep folders like that for a reason. Facts go where feelings can't reach. Soraya's next move was the maid of honor conversation, public, of course. It happened at my grandmother's house in March, during one of those family lunches where the table is full and the air is thick with perfume and old expectations. We were eating rice and roasted chicken. My grandmother's TV was murmuring in the background. Everyone was talking over each other. Soraya stood up with her glass of soda and tapped it with a spoon, smiling wide. "Okay," she said. "I just want to say how honored I am to be Layla's maid of honor." The room reacted immediately. Clapping, ahs, my mother beaming like she'd just arranged it herself. I didn't smile, I didn't frown. I put my fork down and looked at Soraya. Soraya looked back, still smiling. Adrian's hand touched my knee under the table, a quiet question. I kept my face neutral. "We haven't decided the bridal party." The clapping stumbled to an awkward stop. Soraya's smile didn't move, but her eyes sharpened. "Oh," she said lightly. "Well, I assumed, because, I'm your sister." My mother's voice cut in before I could speak again. "Layla, don't be like that." I took a sip of water. I could feel 200 tiny judgments forming in the room, even though there were maybe 12 people present. This is how Soraya worked. She created a moment where your choices became a public referendum on your character. I set my glass down carefully. "I'm not being anyway. I'm saying we haven't decided." Soraya laughed, airy. "Okay." "Sure. Whatever you say." Then she sat, and the conversation resumed. But something had shifted. People started watching me like I'd kicked a puppy. On the drive home, Adrian kept his eyes on the road. "I can talk to your mom," he said. No, I said. Not yet. Years, he glanced at me. Not yet? I looked out the window at the evening traffic, the way the streetlights made clean lines across the windshield. Let her keep moving, I said quietly. I want to see where she thinks she can go. Adrian didn't ask more questions. He just nodded once, like he understood the kind of patience I was practicing. That night, at 11:43 p.m., Soraya posted a selfie of us from my engagement party, cropped so her face was centered and mine was half in shadow. Caption: When your little sister acts like you're not her best friend, still love you though, she tagged me. The comments were full of laughing emojis and people telling her I'd come around. I didn't respond. I didn't message her. I didn't ask her to take it down. I saved the post. Screenshot. Timestamp. URL. Then I made a note in my phone. March 14th, public MOH claim at grandma's. Post afterwards. Pattern. Pressure plus humiliation disguised as jokes. I put my phone face down on the nightstand. In the dark, Adrian reached for my hand. You okay? He asked. Yes, I said. And I meant it in the only way that mattered. Because I wasn't going to give Soraya the reaction she wanted. I was going to let her keep talking. I was going to let her keep performing. And I was going to start collecting every receipt she handed me, like she didn't realize she was giving me the whole case. The next morning, I woke up to a new notification, an email from our wedding planner, with Soraya copied on it. Subject line, re-access for sister speech slot confirmation. I read it once, slowly, then again. Soraya hadn't just assumed a role in my wedding. She'd started making changes without my permission, and she'd done it in writing. I set the phone down, stood up, and went to the kitchen to make coffee like it was any other day, because that's what I do when something starts breaking. I don't panic. I don't react. I prepare. And as the coffee brewed, I opened a new folder inside ADMN and named it Soraya, Receptus. Because whatever she was doing, she was no longer doing it casually. She was building something, so was I. And I could already see the first crack in her image, right there in the subject line, waiting for the right moment to become visible. Tonight, the email wasn't aggressive. That was the problem. It was cheerful, formatted, written the way people write when they assume permission has already been granted. Hi, Jenna. Looping Soraya in here so we can confirm her access during rehearsal week and reserve a 7-10-minute toast slot during the reception. She'll also be coordinating surprise elements with AV. Thanks. Soraya's name sat there like it belonged. I forwarded the email to my personal address, saved the header, then replied only to Jenna. Hi, Jenna, thanks for checking. Please note Soraya does not have decision-making authority or rehearsal access. There is no toast scheduled beyond the 2 we previously approved. Please remove her from future planning correspondence. Best, Layla, I didn't CC Soraya. That matters. At 9:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Soraya. Wow, you couldn't just talk to me? I stared at the message for a moment, then locked the screen. I didn't respond until lunch. Me. We can talk later. Please don't contact vendors on my behalf. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Soraya, you're making this way more serious than it needs to be. I didn't reply. At 3:47 p.m., my mother called. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail. I don't know why you're being so cold to your sister. She's just excited. You should be grateful she cares. I saved it. The thing about working in operations is that you learn to distinguish between noise and signal. Soraya generated noise constantly, texts, posts, jokes, surprises, but the signal was always the same, control disguised as care. And now she was escalating. 2 weeks later, my dress fitting became a lesson in boundaries. I'd booked a private appointment at a boutique downtown, mid-morning on a Wednesday. I didn't tell Soraya. I told my best friend Mara, who has the rare ability to sit quietly without narrating every emotion she feels. We were halfway through pinning the hem when the door chimed. I saw Soraya's reflection in the mirror before I heard her voice. There she is, she said brightly, the bride. The stylist froze. Mara's eyebrows lifted. I didn't turn around. How did you know I was here? Soraya smiled at my reflection. Mom mentioned it. That was a lie. I hadn't told my mother either. I just wanted to see, Soraya continued. You know. Sister moment. She lifted her phone. Please don't film, I said, still calm. Oh, relax, she said. I won't post it. She filmed anyway. I watched the stylist's hands tremble slightly as she adjusted the bodice. This wasn't her problem. It wasn't Mara's problem. It was mine. After the fitting, I asked the boutique manager to walk me through their privacy policy. I requested a copy. I noted the time Soraya arrived and the time she left. At home that night, I saw the video on Soraya's private story, me half-dressed, mid-alteration, face neutral. Caption, she pretends she hates attention, but look at her, I saved it. April 6th, unauthorized filming during dress fitting. Posted despite verbal boundary. Adrian watched me write the note. You don't have to keep doing this, he said gently. You can tell her to back off. I am, I said, in the only language she understands. The language of documentation. Soraya's confidence grew with every boundary she crossed without immediate consequences. She started referring to the wedding as ours. She told people she was basically planning everything. She hinted at a big moment she was working on. At a family barbecue in May, she leaned across the table and said loudly, I'm just worried about Layla. She's so tense. I keep telling her to have a drink and loosen up. I smiled politely. I'm fine. My uncle laughed. Beku tai tai tai. Listen to your sister. Soraya raised her glass. To letting go. I didn't touch mine. The thing is, I don't drink much. Never have. 1 glass of wine, maybe, 2, and I feel it. Soraya knew that. She also knew how much our family loved to narrate my uptight tendencies, like a flaw that needed fixing. She started bringing it up more often. Have a drink. Relax. You're too serious. Always with a smile. Always in front of other people. I started tracking that too. Pattern emerging. Encouragement of intoxication framed as care. The breakthrough came accidentally, or rather, carelessly, on her part. It was a Saturday afternoon in June. Adrian was out running errands. I was home organizing vendor contracts, cross-referencing invoices, making sure the numbers matched what we'd approved. Quiet work, focused work. My phone buzzed with a notification from an unfamiliar email address. Subject, FYI. This made me uncomfortable. Inside was a forwarded message thread. The sender was one of Soraya's friends, the same one from the group chat. Her name was Elena. We'd met once, briefly, at a birthday dinner. Her note was short. Hey, Layla. I didn't know if you were aware of this, but Soraya shared it in our group and joked about it. It didn't sit right with me. Below was a screenshot. A text from Soraya. I swear, if she has 1 drink at the wedding, she'll finally stop micromanaging everything Boo might need to help her along. LOL. Under it, laughing reactions. Then another message from Soraya, sent minutes later. Don't worry, I've got something planned. No context, no details, just confidence. My pulse didn't spike, my hands didn't shake. I stared at the screen and felt something settle into place. This wasn't just about attention. This was about control. I replied to Elena. Thank you for sending this. Did you happen to save the original thread? 3 minutes later, she sent me a screen recording, showing the messages in sequence, timestamps visible, Soraya's contact name at the top. I saved it in 3 places. June 11th, third-party confirmation. Intent expressed altering my behavior via alcohol. That night, I told Adrian everything. Not emotionally, factually. I showed him the screenshots, the emails, the notes. He listened without interrupting, jaw tight but eyes steady. She thinks she can force you into something, he said finally. She thinks she can embarrass me into compliance, I corrected. And she thinks no one will call her on it. What do you want to do? I considered the question carefully. I want her to expose herself, I said, without me pushing. So I did nothing. I didn't confront her. I didn't block her. I didn't warn anyone. I let her keep planning whatever she thought she was planning. In July, she asked to meet for coffee. I feel like there's tension, she said, stirring her latte. I hate that. I nodded. Okay. She smiled, relieved. Good. Because I just want you to enjoy your day. I've seen brides get so stressed they barely remember it. I'm not stressed, I said. She tilted her head. You are, though. You just don't see it. I said nothing. She leaned in. Promise me you'll actually celebrate. Have a drink. Dance. Let people see you happy. I am happy, I said. She laughed softly. You know what I mean. I didn't respond. When we stood to leave, she hugged me a little too tightly. Trust me, she whispered. I've got you. At home, I wrote the note. July 3rd, coffee conversation. Reiterated fixation on alcohol as solution. I've got you. The closer the wedding got, the more relaxed Soraya seemed. That's how I knew she thought she was winning. The key receipt arrived 8 days before the wedding. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't anonymous. It was an invoice. The bar manager from Solstice House emailed me to confirm final numbers. Attached was a detailed breakdown of specialty cocktails, quantities, timing, and a note at the bottom. Please confirm approval for the custom edition discussed with Soraya. My eyes moved slowly down the page. There it was, an add-on I hadn't approved. A bridal blend shot, pre-poured, scheduled to be delivered directly to the head table during dinner. The note specified it was non-negotiable and for the bride only, and the ingredient list included something that didn't belong. I stared at it until the words felt sharp. Then I forwarded the email, requested clarification, and asked for the original request. When the reply came, it included the attachment Soraya hadn't thought to hide. A PDF with her name, her signature, and a handwritten note scanned at the bottom. She won't notice, trust me. I didn't feel angry. I felt precise, because now I had intent, action, and proof, dated, documented, and confirmed by a third party. I saved the file, renamed it, Key Receptit, Bar Addendum. Then I closed my laptop and sat very still. 8 days was more than enough time not to stop her, to let her finish, and to decide exactly how public the truth needed to be. Soraya loved rehearsals, not because she needed them, but because they made her feel essential. The wedding rehearsal was scheduled for Thursday afternoon, 2 days before the ceremony. Immediate family, bridal party, coordinator, officiant. Low stakes. No audience. Soraya arrived early. I watched her from across the conservatory as she moved between people, offering opinions that hadn't been asked for. She wore white, casual enough to be plausible, deliberate enough to register. She had her hair done, her makeup sharp. She looked ready for a camera that wasn't there. When the coordinator asked for final toast confirmations, Soraya stepped forward before anyone else could speak. I'll be speaking, she said. We talked about it. Jenna glanced at me. I met her eyes. We didn't. Soraya laughed lightly. Oh, come on. Don't be like that now. I let the silence stretch. There are 2 toasts. Adrian's best man and my father. The conservatory went quiet. Soraya blinked, then smiled. Okay. Sure. We'll see. I didn't respond. Because the truth was, I was going to let her speak, just not the way she thought. After rehearsal, Adrian and I stayed behind to review the final logistics with Jenna and the bar manager, Mark. Soraya lingered near the back, scrolling on her phone, pretending not to listen. I waited until she stepped outside to take a call. That addendum, I said calmly, sliding the printed invoice across the table, it needs to be removed. Mark frowned. Soraya said it was a surprise you'd appreciate. I won't, I said, and I need you to do something else, I explained, carefully, clearly. No accusations, no emotions, just instructions. Mark listened. Jenna took notes. When I finished, neither of them looked surprised. We can do that, Mark said, and I'll document the change. Good, I said, and I'll need a copy. He nodded. Of course. Outside, Soraya laughed loudly into her phone, free and confident. She had no idea the ground had shifted. The night before the wedding, she sent me a message. "Soraya, tomorrow's going to be perfect. I can feel it," I replied. "I'm sure it will be." That morning, I woke up calm. That matters. I wasn't waiting for something to go wrong. I wasn't bracing for impact. I was prepared. The ceremony itself was exactly what I'd hoped for. Clean lines. Soft light. No theatrics. I walked down the aisle with my father, the glass conservatory glowing around us, Adrian waiting at the front with that steady expression that always makes me feel like I've already arrived. Soraya sat in the front row, perfectly still, phone face down in her lap. She smiled at me when I passed. I smiled back. The vows were simple. The kind that don't perform commitment but state it. When we kissed, the room exhaled. Applause rose, warm and genuine. For a moment, it was just a wedding. The reception began at 6. 200 guests, candlelight, white linen, the low hum of people who feel like they're somewhere expensive and want to act like they belong. Soraya changed outfits. Her dress was silver, fitted, designed to catch light. She moved through the room like she owned it, stopping at tables, laughing, touching arms. I watched her from a distance, nursing a glass of sparkling water with lime. The bartender met my eyes once and gave the smallest nod. Everything was on schedule. Dinner was served. The first toast went smoothly. The second followed. Then came the space Soraya had been waiting for. She stood before anyone invited her to. Glass raised, smile wide. "Hi, everyone," she said. "For those of you who don't know me, I'm Layla's big sister." Applause. Of course. She looked at me. I wasn't sure I'd get to speak tonight, but I just couldn't let this day go by without saying something. I met her gaze. Calm. "Open." She continued. Growing up, Layla was always the serious one, the planner, the one who needed everything just so. Laughter rippled through the room. "She's amazing at what she does," Soraya said, "but sometimes she forgets to let go, to enjoy the moment." She gestured toward my glass. Even tonight, she's barely touched her drink. More laughter. Softer this time. I didn't move. Soraya smiled, emboldened. So I thought, as her sister, it might be my job to help her loosen up a little. She raised her glass higher. "To Layla, may you finally relax." Applause broke out. This was it. I stood, not quickly, not dramatically. I took the microphone from the stand beside my chair and waited. The room quieted, confused but attentive. "Thank you," I said, voice steady. "Soraya, thank you for wanting me to enjoy my day." She beamed, already victorious. "I just want to clarify something," I continued, "because tonight is about honesty." I gestured to the bar manager who stepped forward with a tray. On it were 2 small glasses, identical, clear, liquid, no garnish. "I don't drink much," I said. "Most of you know that." So when I was told there was a special shot prepared just for me, I wanted to understand what it was. Soraya's smile faltered, just a fraction. "I asked for the paperwork," I said. "The request, the authorization." I nodded to Jenna, who appeared beside the AV station. The screen behind us flickered on. The PDF filled the space. Soraya's name. Her signature. The handwritten note at the bottom. She won't notice. Trust me. A hush fell over the room. I didn't look at Soraya. I looked at the guests. "At my own wedding?" I said evenly. "Someone arranged for me to be served a drink without my consent? A drink intended to alter my behavior." Gasps. Murmurs. Soraya's glass shook in her hand. I turned to her then. "Soraya," I said, "would you like to explain?" She opened her mouth. No sound came out. The room waited, and for the first time in her life there was nowhere left for her to perform. Soraya laughed, not because anything was funny, but because laughter had always been her exit. "Oh my God," she said, shaking her head. "Layla, you are being dramatic." No one laughed with her. I kept my tone level. The drink was prepared for me, Only me. Without my consent. You authorized it. She glanced around the room, searching for a face that would save her. My mother's eyes were wide, unfocused. My father hadn't moved. It was just alcohol, Soraya said quickly. You're acting like I poisoned you. I didn't say poisoned, I replied. I said altered, without consent. I gestured to the tray. Mark. The bar manager stepped forward and lifted one of the glasses. For transparency, he said, voice professional, this is the blend requested. It includes a benzodiazepine-based additive provided by the requester. I flagged it internally. A collective inhale, he continued. We did not serve it. Soraya's face drained of color. That's not, she started. That's not what I meant. I looked at her. Then what did you mean? She shook her head, eyes darting. I just wanted you to relax. You're always so rigid. I thought if you loosened up, you'd actually enjoy yourself. By drugging me, I said. Silence. Someone near the back whispered, Did she say drugging? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I let the words sit where everyone could hear them. I turned back to the guests. This isn't about a drink. It's about a pattern. Public pressure. Humiliation disguised as jokes. Decisions made on my behalf because someone decided they knew better. Soraya's breath came fast now. You're ruining your own wedding, she said, voice cracking. This was supposed to be a toast. It still is, I said. Just not yours. I handed the microphone back to Jenna. My mother stood up. Layla, please. I looked at her, not angrily, clearly. This isn't a family discussion, I said. It's a safety issue. Security approached. Not roughly, not dramatically. Soraya backed away, hands raised. This is insane, she said. You're all insane. She looked at me one last time, eyes wet, furious, scared. You planned this, she hissed. I prepared, I said. There's a difference. She was escorted out through the side exit. No shouting, no struggle. Just the sound of heels on stone, getting farther away. The room was silent for a long beat. Then Adrian stood. He didn't take the microphone. He just said, Thank you for giving us a moment. And people did. The band took a breath. The candles flickered. Plates clinked softly as servers resumed their work. Life continued. Later that night, my mother tried to speak to me. I listened. I didn't know, she said. I swear. I believe you, I replied. But believing me now doesn't erase what happened before. She nodded slowly. What happens now? I considered the question. Now, I said, there are boundaries. Soraya didn't post for 3 days. When she did, it was a vague story about betrayal and being misunderstood. No names, no details. It didn't matter. People had seen the document, heard the explanation, watched her lose control without being attacked. Her friends stopped calling. One texted me an apology. Another asked if I was okay. I answered the second one. I was. 2 weeks later, a detective contacted me. Mark had reported the incident. The documentation was thorough. The intent was clear. I provided what I had. Calmly. Completely. I didn't attend court. I didn't watch consequences unfold in real time. I didn't need to. The distance was the point. Adrian and I went on our honeymoon quietly. No posts. No updates. We hiked. We ate. We slept. When we came back, I changed my number. I sent Soraya one message first. Do not contact me again. Any further attempts will be handled formally. She didn't reply. Months later, at a family gathering she didn't attend, my aunt said, I still can't believe what happened. I nodded. Neither can I. But I could. Because I'd seen it coming. That's the thing about patience. When you stop reacting and start observing, people reveal exactly who they are. All you have to do is let them speak long enough. And when they do, you don't have to raise your voice. You don't have to seek revenge. You just have to tell the truth, in the open, and then walk away which is what I did, calmly, married, at peace, and finally, out of her reach.